Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to How AI is Changing How Founders Build and Fundraise for Startups. My name is Colin Mahan. I'm a Director of Programs at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit improving access and knowledge in entrepreneurship to advance economic progress for all. As you're going to see in the chat in just a moment, the Nasdaq Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to help entrepreneurs fuel prosperity, no matter where their journey begins. Be sure to check out those links and resources shared in the chat. Now we're going to launch a few polls to take a step back and take a temperature gauge on how all of you are doing today. The first poll, how are you feeling about your business right now? Are you optimistic? Feeling a little survival mode? Let us know. We use this information to guide the programs we provide for this global community of entrepreneurs. Also, if there are topics or challenges you'd like us to create resources for, feel free to share them in the chat. As we're running some of these polls, a couple more housekeeping items just before we get started. First, let us know where you're dialing in from by dropping it into the chat. We'd love to see where everyone's joining us for our time together. Also curious on what time zone everyone's on. Let's see. Arizona, Dallas, Texas, Chicago, New York City, Glendale, Arizona, nice. San Diego, upstate New York, New York, California, Atlanta, Virginia. Alrighty. Also, we're going to have Q&A near the end of this session. So feel free to submit those questions to us in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. We'll do our best to get to as many as we can. Alrighty, now while you're answering these final polls, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible support of our corporate partners. The work we do at the center wouldn't be possible without all the generosity and belief of our partners and funders, including Nasdaq, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, KPMG, Walmart, the Asia Innovation Hub, Wilson Sonsini, the Nareet Foundation, and BPM. We're deeply grateful for their partnership and hope you'll join us in sharing that appreciation as well. All right, we're about to wrap up. Our final poll looks like finance and sales is in the lead. Well, you're in for a treat because I'm pretty sure our presenter will cover a bit on the funding landscape. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guest in the chat. Illai Gescheit is an entrepreneur, senior advisor, investor, and lecturer, and a mentor at the center. Illai, so excited to see you.
Everybody. Excited to be here.
All right, well, over to you. I'm looking forward to this.
All right, I'm excited about this. I will share my screen. We have a lot to cover today. Um, all right, so I'm happy to see that many people across the community of the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center have joined. My name is Illai Gescheit. My background is building and investing in startups. I built 4 companies across medical devices, enterprise software, to climate and energy today, building the 5th startup, and also built 2 venturing units for large corporations, energy companies. And today I work with startups and venture capital firms as advisor, and I'm also teaching an affiliate lecturer for entrepreneurship and strategy at the London Business School. The topic for today would be really how AI is changing how founders and entrepreneurs build and fundraise for startups. And I will go through different use cases. We will go through different elements of how AI is changing how founders are building, from really what is AI for founders, startup branding a little bit and design, and then how to work with lean startups and find business models with AI. And then we're going to go to a little bit of vibe coding, and then also on venture fundraising using AI tools. I'm going to use different AI tools across the AI founder stack, as I like to call it. And I hope you will get a lot of value in this session. So I'm going to start with what is AI for founders and entrepreneurs, and most founders see it as a technology or a productivity tool like ChatGPT. But in my view, founders should look at AI a lot different. AI is a new type of capital that founders can use and should use in order to build their companies, scale their companies, and fundraise their companies. I'm going to share a link also to an article that talks more about this. But essentially, when we're building a startup, there are three types of capital traditionally that I talk about, which is human capital, the people that join your team, your co-founders that bring different skills. There's the financial capital, and there's also the social capital, which is the networks that you bring as a founder and also your team brings. But then come something that I call intelligence capital, which is the AI skills, understanding, tools, all wrapped up in how you use them wisely in your startup. And they are replacing some of those elements of capital that you need. So you might need less people to build your startup. If you have AI and intelligence capital, you might build your company with less capital. We see examples of, Base 44 of a founder that built solo his vibe coding app and sold it to Wix and 80 million with a very
Hey,
limited.
Eli, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
there seems to be a screen on your right-hand side that there's a little gray block. Yeah, that.
yeah.
That's blocking your slides. So
Oh, all right. Okay, let me minimize that. Is that okay?
how's that, everybody? I still see it a little bit.
Let me just,
Oh, when we were testing.
is that okay?
That's better. Yes, everyone's saying that's better. Thank you. Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
nice. No worries. Um, And you might need less, less of the network because you're going to have AI agents. They're going to source different things and different elements in your network that are going to bring value um, to you. And the way to build intelligence capital, it's not that you fundraise for it, but you can build that intelligence capital inside of your company. So you bring talent, all the other type of capital that are very targeted to work and build that intelligence capital. You bring talent that is able to work with AI, to build AI. You bring in money that could fund those different tools that I will show you, and you're bringing the right networks. They're going to support you. So those three elements are enabling you to build your internal intelligence capital. And what we see companies, AI companies that are reaching 100 million of ARR, right, with less people. For example, Lovable reached it with 45 people, FTEs, 11 Labs with 50, Cursor with 20. And that is true also at the later stages. And this is from Andreessen Horowitz recently, that is showing it that the later stages company, the number of FTEs is pushed downwards, even when they're going into the 20, 50, and 50 million ARRs. So this is how I view and I think how founders should look at AI, more of a capital than just as a technology. Now, I'm going to run through different tools to show you how we can build with AI and fundraise, and I'm going to use a use case. And this use case is really an example of a startup that we're going to build today with AI tools. And it is focusing on a problem, right? If anyone has kids and they draw your drop off, you're doing a drop off and pickups, there are elements of pressures at 9 a.m. when you drop off your kids and then when you pick them up. And we're going to focus on a problem statement that parents don't have a safe and efficient way to manage drop-offs and pickups from schools and clubs while managing works and commute and commitments, right? So we're going to build a startup using different tools, AI tools that I'm going to show you how you can go from 0 to 1 with AI. We're going to call it Kid Share just for the fun of it, but you can always really go with a simple brainstorm with your Gemini or ChatGPT. And I'm going to use prompts here. And what I want people to understand is how to write a best practice for prompts. And you're going to see that I go with the same template. The first thing that I do with a prompt is define the role that I want the AI to play. It could be a founder, it could be an investor. Then the context for the model, really what are we building? What exactly is our intention? Really maybe some data that we want to inject about our company or the use case. And then what are the expectations? What do we want from the AI model? And the last thing is sometimes to add some resources. It could be that you upload some data, documents, or you provide some URLs. And you will see this across the different examples that I will show. So we're going to start with a very simple thing like designing your entity or an identity. And we're going to start with the tool of Canva. They have a free Canva logo creator, an AI tool. And I'm building a prompt really that defines who am I. I'm a startup founder. And then I'm building KidShare. And I'm looking to design a new logo, right? So this is quite a simple thing that I'm starting with. And I'm asking it to design a logo for my company to add to presentations, social networks. I am not doing a live demo because of the weight, but what you can see is if I'm adding the prompt, Canva AI really generates a number of logos that I can use, and then I can play, I can iterate them, and I can download them and use in other elements that you will see like vibe coding later on. So this is just a start, a taste of what we're going to do. But next, if you're building an app and you want to build a user flow, then typically what you would do is you would build wireframes. So very simple sketches that show the elements of your app. So here I put a prompt that is very similar, in terms of the structure, but now I'm looking to build wireframes in my mobile apps. And this is what I'm expected from the model. It should take 15 to 20 minutes. And then what you can see that Figma is doing is really generating, after a long time of wait, you can see that I've waited, very simple features of the mobile app that I created, that including live track, but you will see missing elements. So it's not really nicely designed, but these are wireframes that allow you to go and test, go and ask users to play with it and find what do you need to change and iterate. So typically you would do this with a tool like InVision, but now with text converted to real wireframes, interactive wireframes, you can export it and use it to do your experiments. And then if you want to go another step forward, there is a Google tool called Stitch. If we do a little change in the prompt and I wanted to build the app design and not the wireframes, and this is what I define as the expectations, and I use Stitch, so I didn't do a lot of changes to my prompt, then if we plug it into Stitch, which is still in beta, you will see that using a prompt by text only, you can generate a whole design for your mobile app, right? So what you can see here, that it generated the first screen, and then I gave it a permission by pressing here to view more screens to really detailed design of the app. What's interesting about Stitch is that it gives you recommendations on the left of more features to designs, things that you might brainstorm with your team, but it prompts new thinking around how you can use the AI better. So you can see here, add a child profile screen, and it goes on and on and on in the thinking and developing with you the screens. So this could be really exported to Figma, and you can work as a starting point to design your mobile app. Now, this is just starting with the design, but what about building a business model? And one of the really key things and challenging things is to find a repetitive and scalable business model that you can go and build your product. And if you've read Eric Ries, if you heard of Steve Blank, the lean startup methodology is based on building something, measuring if it's successful or not, and then learning and then iterating. So building, measuring, learning, and that is the lean startup methodology. There are different tools. And the one thing that I want to stress is that AI lean startup does not replace going out of the building really and speak with real customers. It gives you the elements that are going to that are going to help you to have better, clearer, and more focused conversations with your customers. But it does not replace speaking with customers in the real areas where they use your product. But as we use AI, we can do this iterative process with AI tools. You can build with AI, and we will see vibe coding. We can measure with AI with different tools that are measuring, including Google Analytics, and then we can learn with AI, as you will see. One of the key frameworks for business for the lean startup is business model canvas. So what it does, it adds all the kind of common sense elements of a business, including key partnerships and activities and value proposition, the revenue stream under one umbrella in one canvas that you can look at it and really iterate. This is a framework that was developed by Strategizer. But now there's a tool, and I'll say this is a tool that I'm working on that I will show you how to do business model canvas AI-driven version. I'm going to show you two ways to do this. One is to do an analysis, a comparable analysis of business models of other successful companies. And then the second thing is to do first principles, building your business model with AI, with a prompt. So the first one would be to benchmark successful companies, their canvases, and then build on top of that. I'm going to use a tool that is called Between. This is a tool that I'm developing, and I'm going to show you what it does. So when you're going to Between, this is the comparable. I'm going to pick for Uber because this is a car sharing app, and I'm going to analyze here with Between the business model canvas of Uber. So what the AI is doing, it fetches from the website and from other resources on the web, what is the value proposition, what are the key partnerships of Uber, and what are the financial structures and elements. And then I'm going to save it to the canvas. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go to my canvases, open it, and build on top of it. Right? So instead of just building things from scratch, I'm going to use this as a template to build a new business model canvas based on what I know is working for Uber, which is for KidShare, for our imaginative new venture. So later on, I'm gonna go and save it. And I'll be able to generate several versions of it, for example. All right. Then the other model to use Between is to really come with a prompt with what we've seen in the past, in the previous examples. But now I'm looking to create sustainable and scalable business model that work with lean startup methodologies for my customer discovery. And I'm asking the model to design a business model canvas that I could start working with and iterate. So if we look at this example, what I'm doing, I'm going and I'm creating a new canvas. And I'm just plugging in this prompt in plain English. There is nothing here, right? And what you can see is that I'm letting between generate a business model canvas for what I designed with the aid of AI, right? So it's really thinking now. And what you can see, it designs kid share, including the customer segments that includes clubs and leisure centers, the autonomous vehicles element. I'm going to save it. And what I can do now is I can go and I can ask a VC agent also for some recommendations. So this agent really mimics a VC that it comes and watch and look and reviews your business model canvas. And it gives you recommendations, key elements of scalability, what would be the quick wins that you can download and share. And also it helps you iterate your business model canvas. Obviously, you can download it and use the smart frame of a business model canvas that shows everything under one umbrella that you can go and iterate, and it could help you with your customer discovery. So that is a usage of AI in order to do customer discovery and use the lean methodology to build your startup that usually it could take you several days to do this. Now, again, it's not a replacement to go and speak with customers, but it gives you the element to accelerate this moment of being in front of a blank page, really to do things a lot quicker. Now, I'm going to jump into vibe coding. Now, vibe coding, I don't know if anyone has tried. There are many, many tools. There's Claude, there is Replit, there is Base 44. I'm going to use my favorite tool that I'm using is Lovable, which is an interesting company that is doing really interesting things for startups, also and founders specifically. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to use vibe coding and Lovable in order to build product experiments or an MVP, right? So we've built the business model. We designed some entity, some identity for our company, even did some sketches. Lovable and vibe coding is a replacement. Some would like to call it a replacement for a CDO, but it does a little bit more than that. It does a little bit of product management. It does a little bit of design, right? But you can also use the design that you generated from Stitch or from Figma and plug it into Lovable. So here, the first line is, I want to be your co-founder, but I'll talk about it in a minute about how to use AI and vibe coding as a co-founder. I think there are two mental models to use vibe coding for founders. So the most common one is as a replacement for a technical co-founder, right? And typically what people do is they approach the vibe coding screen and they just ask it to build the full version of your product. If the product is extremely complex, it will create a lot of friction on the way, right? If it's very, very simple, it might work. So the mental model, if you want to build something which is complete, I would go with the MVPs, the minimal viable product. So that would be a lean version of what you want to go and test with your users as you go out of the building and use the lean startup methodology, right? So you can do that, and I will show you how to do it as well. The other mental model, which is more how I view things, is to build lean product experiments and A/B tests with vibe coding. So these are small tests that you can validate different hypotheses that you have using vibe coding instead of now building things from scratch. So if we're going to the first the first example of building an MVP, I use the same template, but I changed here that I'm looking to build the first MVP, an online product, that enables parents to book and track where their kids are with trips and budget, and that I expected to build a first MVP. And I did some focus on the London area. Let's see, after I plugged it in Lovable, this is what I got. So it's quite amazing, right? So it got different elements and really built an MVP that I can simply launch and connect to a URL or use the Lovable URL with a lot of different elements of the value proposition. But it also provided, for example, a dashboard, right? And the dashboard is clickable, very similar to what we've seen that Figma is doing, but in a web environment. So from that prompt, it allowed us to even do a live tracking, right? And this is something that you can iterate along with the prompts on the left side and build a whole minimal viable product that you can go to users, for example, near schools, and give it to parents and see what they say, right? And you might even upload it and people can use it, right? So you can see a whole interactive experience, including booking the rides that Lovable, with a simple prompt, one prompt, was able to generate. Quite impressive. Now, if I move to the second mental model of building an AI experiments and A/B tests, here, what I've done, again, I took the same template, but I gave it a context that I'm designing an experiment if parents would sign up into our product with an offer of autonomous driving with a robo-taxi versus human drivers, right? So if you put yourself in the shoes with empathy of parents and they send their kids to school, that is quite a risk, right? So you want to see which one parents would sign into. And here the objective is to test the hypotheses, right? And I wanted to bring a success matrix to do this A/B testing as a number of signups. So if I put this prompt inside of Lovable, then this is what I get. So I get a main screen with the two versions. And the first version really targets autonomous vehicles. It uses the language that I added and allows people to join a wait list, right? So that is a clear page for parents who would sign up for a robo-taxi service or a driver edition. And here you will see, vetted professional drivers who specialize in transporting children safely, right? So you can see how I created, using a very simple prompt, two landing pages, wait lists, and then I can do an A/B test, right? So there's no complicated functionality here, but it allows me to quickly create a product experiment that I could validate and then goes to the next experiment and to see which one performs better. Now, what Lovable is also providing is some templates, right? So you can build a landing page, or you can build a chatbot, or a wait list, or a course. So you don't have to do it from scratch, and you have different templates that you can use just to validate some hypotheses and assumptions that you might have building your products. Now, I want really to connect things that we covered here. So we saw how we build a business model with between, right? So we used a prompt with English really to generate a business model canvas for us that included the value proposition, the sources, the financials, and we saw a tool that is creating, the Lovable, creating vibe codes, your app. And what I've done here, I took the business model canvas, I downloaded the business model canvas from between and I uploaded it to Lovable, right? So I used the different tools across the AI, the founder's AI stack. And what I've done is I added this business model canvas that I generated with one AI tool and said, and wrote a simple prompt that based on this business model canvas that I uploaded, design an MVP for KidShare, my car sharing app for parents. And it's quite amazing, right? So what Lovable has done, it parsed the PDF, understood the different elements of the AI generated business model canvas, and created this website, right? That is quite similar in terms of all the different elements, but it is not functional as the MVP that I asked it because I didn't ask it specifically for different functionalities, right? But the idea here is that I used an AI tool to generate the business model, and then I injected it into another vibe coding app that enabled me really to generate using vibe coding only English, simple prompt, this website, right? And this is something I can share and I can validate and I can go to customers and test my business model canvas as well. So I can go and iterate both the business model canvas and the website and the web app together only by using simple AI tools. I wanted to go for a minute back to the startup branding. Now, I had a conversation with a founder a few weeks ago that told me that she really spent tens of thousands of dollars to a creative agency to build a video for social and campaigns. This is quite simple. There's a tool under Gemini in the Google environment called Flow. You can do this with Gemini or with Flow, right? What you can do today is instead of going as founders to expensive agencies, you can really generate a simple social video for your startup, really to get things going and to spread the word, right? So I used again the same template that I'm looking for a nice promotional ad for social media for a company. I would like to have an elegant design with a glimpse of fun of it. And then
Parents need.
and then I asked it to create an ad for the social networks. If you put this into Flow or into VO3, you can use other tools like Sora. You are able with the right prompt to generate a good video that you can use. It's not perfect. You can even upload, for example, the logo that you created with the Canva logo AI creator, but this is what you can generate.
Parents need a safe and efficient way to manage school pickups. That's why we created KidShare, safe, automated rides for your family.
Now, I built my first startup in 2013 when I was a founder, and to do the video, it took us around a week and a half of taking a professional photographer, and we used to be the actors, right? So it does require some iteration, and you can use the different elements that you are creating in Figma and in Canva, but essentially you can really create something that you can use in social that will bring the message out with a very low budget. All right. The final step in this is really venture fundraising. Now, I run a workshop that is focused only on venture fundraising with AI. And it's a whole topic that you as founder, you can use AI to accelerate your fundraising strategies and your fundraising processes. And usually when we talk about fundraising the process is very long, and it could take 6 to 12 months for a founder to raise capital. It includes preparation of documentations, your data room, and then generating long lists of investors and targeted investors, then do the reach outs. After that, you need to negotiate a term sheet. And at a later stage, there's a due diligence, and you might want to do a reverse due diligence also until the final closing with the legal review of your lawyers. Inside of this entire funnel, entire process, you can use different AI tools. One very simple use case that I picked here is to use OpenAI, really the ChatGPT, to generate a long list of investors, of targeted investors. So again, I use this template of a prompt, right? And then what I asked it, I gave this the context about investors, about the investment that we are preparing for a pre-seed venture round. By now, we had only 50K from friends and family, and we are aiming to raise 1.5 million, mainly from VCs, and we hope to get a tier one or a specialty VC in the mobility area, right? So very specific. I gave it context about our situation, and then I asked it to create a long list of 100 VCs targeted in Europe, UK, and the US, right? And also that I'm trying to get a first meeting with them. If we go to ChatGPT and we ask it to do it, then we're going to see this, right? So we're going to run this very simple prompt with ChatGPT. And the default of ChatGPT is to provide you with a long list of VCs. And what you will see at the first, you can see how ChatGPT is reasoning, but you will see the tier ones and the big names typically at the front. If you create a prompt that is more targeted about a specific industry or about a specific stage of your company, you will see more targeted results. So it gave me a list of 100 VCs, but what can I do with that? Obviously, not much. So here, I want to give it more instruction and clarity. So I'm asking it to build a table with the relevant information for me as a founder to go and fundraise. You can also be very, very directive and clear about what are the rows that you want. But here, when it does that, it gives also more targeted VCs, like in Motion Ventures, which is Jaguar, JLR, Venture Arm, BMW, Autotech, things that are more targeted into the mobility space as well. Then the other thing, it also gives you a fit and a score. Now, this is something you need to be very careful because ChatGPT does not know everything about it, about your startup. However, with GPT-5, if you have ongoing conversations with the AI, it gets to know you, it gets to know your problem, your challenges, and it will fine-tune the results according to your past history and conversations, which is very, very interesting to see how it gets more and more accurate about those things. Another tool, which is less of kind of is more specialist for startups and for founders, is a tool called Metal. This is a startup based in the US that is focused on building an AI tool that helps founders to fundraise and to find and target the right investors. So again, it's an AI tool, and they're working with the Speedrun, the Andreessen Horowitz Speedrun cohort and cohorts, and also with Techstars. And there are a few success stories there. And here I took the same prompt, right? We are preparing for a pre-seed round and create 100 list. And I plugged it into this tool called Metal that you can try. So if I use Richard AI, which is their conversational AI agent, right? And I give the same prompt, what you will see here, that it's not a generic view, but it gives you more access in terms of APIs to Crunchbase and other elements and databases like Dealroom that they're working with. But here, what they do is they also give you access to those different funds. So you get the same list, probably different venture funds according to your prompts. But then you can go, for example, to General Catalyst, and you can look for the investor partners and which different areas they invest in different stages, and gives you some more intelligence about the different fundraising venture funds, and it really helps you to be more targeted rather than going to kind of a generic tool. I think I lost. Whoop. There you go. All right. So this is Metal. So you saw one example of using OpenAI to generate a long list of investors, as another one, which is a more specialized tool to do this. Another example that I use is really focused on the preparation for a pitch. So typically what I would do with founders that I work with is that I will really work with them and recommend them to prepare for the pitch, to do some simulations. The typical simulation would be for co-founders or me with a founder, and I play the role of the investor and they play their role as a founder, and sometimes we switch, and they would pitch me before they go to the real pitch, right? Now there is a way for you to build an agent. So for example, I built an agent with a tool called 11 Labs. And 11 Labs allows you to create a voice operated AI agent. And I was able to inject different elements of the tone, of the personality of the investor. And it allows me also to prepare founders for tough questions. For example, with female founders, we can inject some tone and personality that will, prepare them for tough questions that, VCs might ask only female founders and not male founders. So there are different ways that you can, structure that agent. But here, what I want to show you, it's a simple example. I built this VC agent with 11 Labs, and I took the voice agent of ChatGPT, and I let them play their roles in a simulation.
There, I'm Illai from Gescheit and Partners. I'm here to help you prepare for your pitch with VCs.
Hey, Illai, great to have you here. I'm ready to dive into the pitch prep whenever you are. Just let me know what you'd like to focus on first.
Great. I'm excited to work with you today. Before we dive into the details, tell me what made you become a founder and build your startup.
Absolutely. I think what really drove me to become a founder is a combination of passion for innovation and the desire to solve a problem that I felt was really meaningful. I wanted to create something that not only has a positive impact, but also kind of brings a unique solution to the table. So that was the main motivation behind it all.
That's fantastic. So can you share what is your view of the market? How big is the opportunity, and are there any potential direct competitors?
Absolutely. I see the market as having a pretty significant opportunity, especially because there's a growing demand for what we offer. The market size is estimated to be in the billions, and it's expanding rapidly. As for competitors, there are a few players in the
All right, I'm going to stop it here, but they go on and on. The interesting thing here is that nobody prepared them who's going to be the founder or the VC, but the 11 Labs agent is prompted to be a VC. And the voice agent of ChatGPT is not, but it finds its way. And they don't have any context about what they're building, but you can see typical conversation between a VC and a founder, and some questions that could help you think and be critical about your pitch that are going to help you prepare for the real pitch in the future. There are other sophisticated ways also to do a real simulation and, for example, document everything with a note taker like Granola or other note takers, and then feed that note-taking document into ChatGPT and ask for some feedback as well. So there are different ways to use AI to prepare for a pitch. And what I want to end with just saying that the very challenging element of going from 0 to 1 for many founders, it's challenging but also beautiful, is to face a blank page. You have a lot of uncertainty. You don't know exactly what you're going to build, how you're going to start. AI tools don't do the entire 0 to 1, but they help you start. They help you accelerate that phase that you are staring at a blank page, and they give you some elements to think and iterate. So they are a part of the creative process of going from 0 to 1 with AI, and they accelerate things. But just be careful that they will not defocus you from what you need to focus. And the other element about if you are not using AI to accelerate those early days of validating your business models, to do customer discovery, to build your MVP, there are other founders that do, right? And if a founder will come to me and will tell me, all right, it's going to take us, 3-4 days to build this A/B test, you're losing time and you're competing with people that are using intelligence capital and AI to accelerate and be faster than ever before. All right, so that's it. I hope that it brought a lot of value. You can find me really on LinkedIn. I write things on my website, and also I write on Substack. And a lot of the things that I talked about here, I'm going to appear there. And I think we're gonna go now for Q&A, if there are any questions.
Amazing. Well, there's a ton of questions, but first and foremost, Eli, what a great job. I love that you used the case study all the way throughout, and everyone seems to be celebrating all the insights shared in the chat. So we got some great questions. We're going to do a lightning round because we have 11 whole minutes. But everyone's saying, thank you. You've blown my mind today. This is incredibly helpful. All right, first off, if a company is online based, would it be negative to build one of these platforms since the founder may not know how the inner tech codes function? Would a CTO be necessary?
So the question is, if a company is web-based again?
Yeah, and then is a CTO necessary eventually? I guess is the yeah.
So it really depends what you're building, right? So we have examples like the one that I talked about with Base 44. This is a guy that built everything from scratch, right? But he was technical, right? I think that a vibe coding, it will get better, but essentially as you scale your company, you might need a CTO, you might need a team, right? If you choose to do it solo, that's okay. But I think the fact that you will learn how to vibe code and how to edit the code on your own, even if you're doing vibe code, you have the ability to go to the code and really change things in the code, right? So at the early stages, and this is why I said the mental model of doing small experiments, it's a fabulous tool also to build those MVPs. As you scale and you have elements of security and you have elements of scaling in different countries, for example, I think you will need to think about, do you need this CTO with very specific background that could also support the vibe coding elements of your building, of your company building?
Yeah, so it's a good first step, as you mentioned, with a blank page, but definitely need somebody eventually who knows more than vibe coding. Let's see. Question here. Who will own the app? The AI company? Who owns the IP?
That's a good question. I think that is a challenging thing, right? One of the things that I would recommend, there's no clear answer. You need to go and see the policies of each tool that you're using. But typically, if you are using, for example, Lovable, it's your website, right? So the IP is yours. But what I would do as I'm building the company, I would go and check the policies of each tool and just verify it again. But essentially, those tools are enabling you to own it and then put it outside for customers.
Awesome. Another question here on the second half of your presentation. Are there platforms to identify lists of potential investors outside of VC, like family office, angels, grants, foundations?
Yeah. So there's no specific tool that I know that is focused on grants, for example, but you can use the generalist AI tools like Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and you direct them within the prompt to what you need exactly, right? So this is why the structuring the prompt and giving as much context as you can help you target the right investors. So for example, if I use the same template, but I would say that I'm targeting non-dilutive funding, grants, fellowships now, and I would give it the direction at the end to generate a list of non-dilutive funding provider funders, for example, or grants, that would do the job. If I would add really more context in terms of URLs or examples of those grants. For example, if you go to Europe, you can mention the EIC, for example, or UK Innovate in the UK. That will help the AI and the models to think with you and provide more targeted responses.
Awesome. And we actually do have a friend slash mentor who's in your same category, Eli, who started an organization called Open Grants.
Oh, cool.
Um, that is an interesting place to look at grant opportunities in the United States, whether that's public or private funding. So
Amazing.
there's one for the team. All right, let's see. How do you adjust design and vibe coding if you want something that doesn't look like the typical AI site? Um, yeah, it
Yeah.
does seem to have a preferred aesthetic.
Yeah. So again, I think this is one of the pros and cons of using vibe coding, right? So it allows you to go faster, but sometimes it thinks alone, right? It designs what it wants to design. What you can do is you can upload things around the design guidelines that you design. For example, if you like your own design and you like to build things on Figma or Photoshop or whatever it is, you can upload those creatives and use them, tell the vibe coding app to use those and also following design guidelines. So one example of an experiment that I've done is I created the design guideline and then uploaded the design guideline into the vibe coding app, and it followed the design guidelines that I created, right? So that's one option. The other option is for you to really manually later on update and edit your website or your web app done by vibe coding yourself, as any other coder would do.
Mm. Yeah, that's great advice. Another one. Ooh, this is general, but I think you have an answer. So, I had an investor mentor tell me that being a solo founder will not work if I was able to build a tech product with vibe coding that will be accepted in the investor world.
Yeah, I mean that's a big question and one that I also teach about. It's a dilemma. It's a founder dilemma if you go solo or if you go with a co-founder. Um, there is no one answer, right? There is um, So, for example, YC really encourage founders to go in and find founders, but they also invested in people that went solo. So, for example, Dropbox started as a company with a solo founder, and then he went to get a co-founder. We have some great examples of companies like Amazon and others that were built by a solo founder, right? And we have other examples like Google and really Stripe and others that were done by co-founders. So I think it is a question about what are you looking for? What are the things that you need to complement? And also about, things around ownership, if you want to have larger stake in the company or not. And also if you need to give away, in a way, some ownership in order to move faster, right? So I think there's no right answer to this. But honestly, I think Mark Schuster, for example, talked about kind of the myth of co-founders, right? So you will see VCs that um, will really invest only in co-founder teams, but you will see also VCs that are open to not do that.
Great advice. Well, Eli, there's so much you've covered today, so thank you so much. And there's a couple of questions in the chat that we weren't able to get to, but they can reach out to you on your LinkedIn, on your website, all the things. But if somebody was going to dial into the last minute or so of this presentation, what's a key takeaway for everyone who's in attendance?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key takeaway is first of all to understand that as founders, a competitive edge is to build your intelligence and AI capital. This is a type of capital that you can build by bringing the right people, learning the right skills, and bringing the right investors in. And that could accelerate your journey significantly and get a competitive edge. Then the other thing is that it is not a replacement of going and talk with customers and doing all the hard things about entrepreneurship that founders have to do, right? So there's AI does not replace a good conversation in a Starbucks about your new app or new business.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Eli. That's just great stuff all across the board. Everyone in this chat saying this is awesome, sensational. So really appreciate you on behalf of everyone on our team at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. Thank you so much, Eli, for all you do. And thanks everyone for joining us.
Amazing. Cheers,
All
everyone.
right. Well, for everyone still on, we would love for you to attend our upcoming webinars. Check out those links in the chat, and we look forward to welcoming you all back online soon. Thanks a lot, Eli. Safe travels, and everyone have a great day. Thanks again, Eli.
Cheers, everyone.